lock to lock. Now that's much better. Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. We're back on the LS3 Defender, and hopefully by the end of the video, we get to use this guy. That's right, we're gonna straighten out the steering. Let's see what showed up from the guys at Atlantic British. Hopefully it's for this thing. That'd kind of ruin today's project if it wasn't. And we got another box. And we have our heavy-duty tie rod set. I'd say it's about time we have the front wheels connected to each other. This will be nice. And those of you paying attention will notice this is not correct for a Defender. These are actually for a Discovery 1 because we have 4 ball joints on the tie rods, but we are using a Discovery 1 steering gear and pitman arm. So we'll use the matching tie rods. Then we got this guy. Probably shouldn't have done that. But I think we're safe. Always remember what you ordered before you cut into it, because that could have been a bad deal. Would have cut off all the seals. This is our seal kit to rebuild the steering gear. So guess what we're doing today? So I guess that makes our first step removing the greasy steering gear from the Defender. I suppose it'll be a little easier doing it that way as opposed to in the chassis. That's just a guess though. I suppose I'll grab a power tool. That was quicker. Not sure why I didn't do that in the first place. Now we just bring it over to the certified steering gear rebuild bench. We're gonna start with the pitman arm and the panhard bar bracket brace thing right here. We'll get those two off. Then we can start seeing the inner workings and what goes on inside one of these guys. Nice thing about replacing the seals, you don't have to worry about the seals. I sure do like these lunch trays. Bought a stack of them at an auction one time. It's perfect for catching all the crap and fluids while doing projects like this. I'm gonna start with this little plug here. And this has a little like snap ring retainer in there. And what we need to do to get this out is move that snap ring so the end is close to this little hole on the side. Then we're gonna send a punch through the hole and we should be able to lift that out. Probably put safety glasses on. So going through that little hole, prise it up to the point that you can get something else under it. And we're just gonna run the gear to full left hand lock. And that should push that end cap out, or close enough out, I guess. How about a magnet? We got a seal we will replace there. I believe the kit comes with a new one of these. After that set screws out, this comes out fairly easy. Then this top cap is threaded on. But we'll spin the shaft to undo this guy. And we'll lose some more fluid. So the gear inside has to be lined up correctly. So we just spin the bottom shaft. There is some casting that would prevent it from coming out otherwise. So we'll do that. We'll just start tapping that guy out from the bottom. There's our seal we torched. So there we go. That is one of the main pieces. That's what turns on this guy. We'll clean that up and get that inspected. We dropped into the 50-degree weather. Someone's not terribly happy about it. All right, we're pretty much down to one last thing here, and it's gonna be interesting because we don't have the correct tool. So let's figure something out. I got a frickin' mess of tools going on here. Probably should clean that up, but all right, see what we can come up with here. Well, that worked better than expected. Let's use channel locks. That just made me look smart. But now that's not in there very tight. That adjusting collar holds it in. More seals. We'll grab our rubber mallet here. We'll grab our rubber mallet that was already over here. That's exactly what I didn't want to do. There's our bearings. We didn't lose any balls, so that's fantastic. And here is the worm gear, another bearing. Doesn't look in too bad a shape. We're gonna run little Sashi back inside, a little warmer. You wanna go in? Leave your blanket. So now that we got this thing blown apart, hopefully we'll be able to get it back together at some point. But before that, we're gonna use the little ultrasonic cleaner and get everything back to being nice and pretty. Just set it and forget it. So we got everything all cleaned up. One last piece to handle, and that is the housing itself. My ultrasonic cleaner is not big enough to swallow that thing whole, so we'll have to rotate it around and do this a few different times. But we will get it cleaned one way or another. So some of the parts are all cleaned up and refinished. Sitting on our fancy drying rack. Still nap time for Sasha, catching some fresh air. But we are gonna clean up the housing before we start reassembling. So we're just gonna scuff all this up, get all the loose paint off. We are not going to repaint this until it is all assembled. That way all the caps match and we aren't painting the inside pieces. Look what little Sasha's missing in the background there. Too busy napping. So the housing is all set to go, cleaned up inside and out. And we have all the internals here. And everything looks to be in nice shape. No scoring on the shaft there. And the worm gear is in good shape as well. So we should have no issues putting this guy back together. We just need to sort out this mess of O-rings and seals. Supposedly, all those fit somewhere on these and in here. I'm not exactly 100% sure about that, but we'll give it our best shot, and hopefully we don't have any of these left over. There is quite a few. You ever buy the wrong brake clean? 2 cans right next to each other on the shelf. Non-chlorinated is what I wanted, but I got one non-flammable. I don't like the smell, and it doesn't seem to dry as fast. And you also have to worry about using this on anything you're gonna weld. You know, chlorine gas, not great. All right, so we're gonna put the worm gear back in now. Give her a little bit of ATF in there. First thing we had to do was stick. We're gonna throw a little ATF on this bearing as well. Load that guy in. Next, we're gonna slide this gear piston deal in. And we pretty much bottomed that one out in the bore here. And with that all the way in, we can now put the main shaft in. We line it up something like this so this tooth engages. And if we do that, everything should line up the way it's supposed to. We'll douse this guy in ATF, and now it's not clean. So we get to clean it again. Story of my life, doing things over and over and over. But now that's part of the process on this guy. Well, this is pretty much a game of timing everything. So we got to have the gear we slid in here line up with those 3 teeth, along with our roller on this shaft lining up with the worm gear, and doing it all while your hands are slippery. It's just so easy. All right, I think we have everything engaged. So now we'll just start tapping. And I think we got it. And there you can see everything moving smoothly, lock to lock. Pretty happy with that. All right, I think next up we will do our little plunger. We'll pack this inside full of grease. That pushes the 2 gears together. All right, so we're gonna put our top plate on now. We're just lubing up the bearing. And remember, this guy threads on, and you turn it whatever way it needs to turn. We're just gonna kind of tap it on as we suck it in. All right, we have one last thing to install. Then we can get to setting this guy up, but we need to put our cap or plug in from this little plunger area. All right, so now we just need to get our little snap ring in, and that's easier said than done. This is where I poke my eye out. Attempt 1. 3. There we go. All right, now I'm going to do a quick setup on the adjustment. First thing we're going to do is get rid of the backlash here. So we're moving the input shaft, and the output shaft is not moving. You're able to see how much free play we have essentially. So we're going to adjust this top screw until that is gone. All right, I'm happy with that. We're going to hit this so it tightens it up a hair more. Happy with that. And we take our new set screw and lock that guy down. All right, so there is our steering gear rebuild, refresh, reseal. It's looking nice. Fresh seals, no leaking. Parts of the Risco Disco live on. But no, this guy feels good. We will do the final adjustment when it's in the vehicle and we have the power steering hooked up and everything in there. We can get a feel with everything in there and working. So all I need to do is a final spray off here and clean up, and then we can coat it, and then we can have steering for the first time in years. Well, this is fun. There's that guy all spiffy looking. Cleaned up pretty nice. It did leak some fluid on me. But no, that was just out of these 2 that we have cut. These lines will end up being custom made. Obviously, we have a different power steering setup going on here than the factory diesel Land Rover. Now we do have new hardware for this guy, but I'm not going to use that until we have the final assembly. Oh, gotta take that back off. Almost forgot the dust seal. It ain't done right if it ain't done twice. Monumental occasion. We can finally start putting some stuff on the front end here. Got the panhard bar so we can locate the axle. And we just need to push the body over a little bit. now we're gonna take our brand new heavy duty tie rods, and this one is gonna go on the back side and lock the two wheels together. So when we're moving this guy around, there's no more Lightning McQueen ka-chow action. So that'll be fantastic. Imagine that I dropped something. That one's towed out. That one's straight. Might need alignment. I mean, I thought this was just gonna go right in and be right. Do the alignment now. I'd say that looks half decent. Now we got our last one to install. And with this one, we'll actually be able to steer. I mean, not so much with the steering wheel because we don't have that, but the steering gear that we just rebuilt will be hooked up. And we just ran into an issue with that pitman arm there. We're gonna have to order a new one of these. I kinda didn't consider this when we pulled it off Risco Disco. So here are the axles off the Risco Disco. It had an upgraded Heim joint steering setup installed. And as you notice here, that's straight. Well, the tie rod ends are tapered fit on the Discovery and Defender stuff. So whoever did the steering upgrade on the old Risco Disco blew the tapered hole in the pitman arm out to a straight one to fit those. So now it is no good for this. This is why we fit stuff up. We gotta take a trip up to the Defender parts storage container. It's in the other department. Well, found some of it. All right, so I was going to try and hook up all the steering stuff, but seemed to have the steering shaft in a different location. I guess that's kind of what happens when you scatter stuff in 4 different locations over the course of 2 years. Who would ever thought that would become a problem? Either way, we have the steering column and this stuff here, and we'll see what we can figure out. My main concern is if the steering stuff will even clear the engine, because as you know, the LS3 is not what it came with from the factory. We took the master cylinder and booster off to give us a little more room. Should probably slide the bracket on first. I feel like I need about 1 or 2 more hands. Now this bracket here must be with the Defender steering shaft because I can't find that either. But being we're missing that bracket, I have a replacement. Now we have our steering column secured into position. I do have this Discovery shaft right here. This was off the Risco Disco. I was wondering if the newer aluminum shaft would work, but it appears we would have to lengthen it. It sits even with the end of the splines on the steering column, so that's no bueno. But that gives us a little peek here at how much room we have around the exhaust manifold. So that is spectacular, and we should be golden there. So I'm gonna have to do some digging and scare up the original shaft from the Defender. That's the steel bolt together 2-piece one. My hopes for today were to sit in here, put the steering wheel on and turn it, and have those front wheels turn as well. But you guys are just gonna have to use your imagination. I even brought out the turn signal so we could pretend to use that. But we'll just have to do that on a future video. We have the front wheels synced together, and I love when we bolt on new shiny parts. It just looks so good. But no, so steering is knocked out. We have tie rods and a fresh steering gear. Don't let me forget to get a pitman arm and find a steering shaft, and we're good to go. Next time you see the Defender, we'll have a steering shaft and we'll start sorting out what we got for room with the dash. Man, I really wish this wheel was connected to the other wheels. Appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you subscribing. We're gonna go back to pulling stripes off this guy.